you're going to have to exit full screen because it automatically goes to full screen. So
Okay.
as I said, we're going to start, and people who arrive later are going to get in. And hi, Wendy, even though we can't see you, I know you're there, so I'm happy you're there. So as I mentioned, Achinoam Nini is the first of our fabulous fiery females who is alive. And that means that, you know, she kind of controls her narrative. So I first was exposed to her music. My husband's daughter sent us some of her CDs in the mid-90s, at which point I had a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. So I wasn't listening to a lot of CDs. My husband was listening to them in the car. He has an abiding fondness for what I called whiny women singers. And yeah, you know, he just likes Judy Collins and Joan Baez, and you know, at some point it's like, okay, they all sound the same to me. Anyway, so I didn't listen to her for quite a number of years, and then when I finally started listening to her, it's like, wow, this is just somebody terrific. So she was born in 1969. Her name is Achinoam, which means actually the sibling of peace. She was born in Israel to a family of Yemen, a Yemenite family. Unlike our previous two singers, Shoshana Damali and Ofra Chaza, as I said, since she is alive and controls her narrative, there's very little information about her birth family that she has shared. At the age of 2, in 1971, her family moves to New York City, where she lives in a single apartment with an extended Yemenite family. So she has a brother and a sister, and she went to religious school in New York, but her family was not religious, and she got lots of different conflicting background, which she says she found very confusing. In 1984, she goes to camp, and I see that I have a misspelling here. There should be an S. She goes to camp. She's the age of 15. Oh, I'm seeing all kinds of typos in this one. And she meets Asher, who is 15, and she falls madly in love with him, and decides that she has to go back to Israel. And at age 16, she convinces her family that they should let her return to Israel. She returns to Israel on her own, which, let's connect it a little bit to that background. Remember, I told you my friend's Yemenite grandmother who said, you know, you got to get married young. And so here she is. She's at 16. She's an adult. She goes to school. And in 1989, she begins studying at the Rimon School of Music. And there she meets Gildor. Gildor is one of her instructors. And apparently she was doing all kinds of performing, and there were all kinds of people who were showing up out of the woodwork who said, hey, I'm going to make you a pop star. Just sign with me and I'm going to make you a star. And if we think back to Ofra Chaza and how badly she wanted to be a star, and how little input she had in the stuff that she originally sang and in her image, Achinoam is very much her own person. Even at 20, she served in the army. She was in one of the entertainment troops, and this comes back over and over again on her website. There's interviews with her, and there's a bunch of her writings that I'm going to read to you. And she's very much a person who follows her gut.
You might need to mute us.
Oh, you can mute you.
Well, but not me, other people who are making
everybody
noise.
should mute themselves. Sorry, and I forgot to bring my microphone over, so you should be hearing me a lot better now. All right. So everybody, please mute yourself. Okay. So she functions very much, she has a gut, you know, and she follows her gut and she follows her instinct. And she loves this teacher, Gildor, and he offers that they start collaborating. And he's quite a bit older than her. He's, I think, 15 or 20 years older than her. And so they start collaborating. write a bunch of songs, and they go to New York. Sorry, so she starts performing with Gil during the first Gulf War, and she writes in 1990. So as not to lose our minds, we recorded a wild satirical version of the Beatles' Can't Buy Me Love, dedicated to the Emir of Kuwait, and an emotional rendition of Ave Maria by Bach-Gounod with original lyrics, a personal prayer for peace. And we put these songs on cassettes and gave them out as gifts to the soldiers manning the Patriot missiles in Israel. And so she and Gil Dor go out and do all kinds of things, and he has lots of connections. They go to New York, and they meet up with a producer friend of his, and he decides, yeah, he loves her, and he says, what can I do to help you? She says, well, with a lot of, Israeli chutzpah, maybe you could produce my CD. And he says, sure. And he starts working on the CD, hires all kinds of people. And she and Gil Dor go back to Israel. And what are they going to do? They want to get some information, start being known on the Israeli scene. And so they decide to return and prepare a festival of songs on the poetry of Leah Goldberg, who lived between 1911 and 1970. She was born in Germany, as you can see here, and moved to Palestine in 1935. And Rachel, who was Rachel Bluestein, who in Israel is known strictly as Rachel, who was born 1890, died in 1931, and she moved from Russia to Palestine. And so Achinoam writes about reading the poetry of Rachel and Leah Goldberg. I felt every word in that book of poetry was written for and about me. I couldn't stop the flow of emotions they evoked. At the same time, we were offered the opportunity to participate in the prestigious Israel Festival if we could come up with some special concert theme for the event. Gil and I put our minds together, decided to create an evening called Rachel and Leah, that would include poetry by Leah Goldberg and the poet Rachel. And this she writes in 1993. And they go on to create some of the songs that become some of her greatest hits. And she writes in September 1993, Leah and Rachel are the names of two of our biblical mothers, and they are also the spiritual mothers of the revival of Hebrew poetry. Deep connections that supplied rich source of inspiration. The ensuing flow of creativity resulted in a special performance that debuted in the Israel Festival and later became the album. The album was a real turning point for our career in Israel, where our international audience had already been exposed to our creative writing in Noah, the album that was produced in New York. At home, we were mostly known for our ability to transform existing songs, not create new ones. This album changed all that, sowing the seeds of our own style and marking a clear path into the big wide open. So we're going to look at our first sing-along, which is called Mizmor Laila, or a hymn for the night. And remember, Leah Goldberg was not from Yemen. Remember that when we get to the song. And so the song goes, it covered up all the stars, engulfed the moon in all black. From the north all the way to Yemen, there is no ray of light. And the chorus, which we'll learn, there is no light, no ray of light. And the morning is a faithful widower. It shall strap a gray sack unto its waist. From the north all the way to Yemen, there is no ray of light. And there no light, no light, no ray of light. The third verse, and in her setting, this now turns to a major key. Please light up a white candle inside my heart's black tent. From the north all the way to Yemen, the light will shine. The light, the light, the light will shine. So I'm going to escape my, stop share. And now I'm going to share again, and we're going to go to our YouTubes.
Leah, is that a metaphor for something we should be aware of? the whole poem?
Possibly, but that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. That's what I need to do. And where is my, oh, I lost a window. Hang on. There it is. Okay, half a second. Back to here. So many screens. My husband says to me, I need to stop looking like a deer in the headlight when I'm trying to do the screen share. And it's like, I have no control. Okay, so can you see the YouTube now?
Yeah.
All right. So since every single chorus of this song is a little bit different, I'm going to play them for you together with her. And this recording has the Hebrew lyrics. They'll start crawling up. So N-O, En Keren O. This is the first one. All right, so I'm going to play it once. We're just going to listen to her. And then I'll play it again so you can sing it together with her. That's it. Okay? So listen once. En or, en keren or, en or, en keren or. Pretty easy, right? 1, 2, breathe. En or, en keren or, en or, en keren or. Okay, we need to mute ourselves, otherwise it's going to be very, very loud of noise. Now, the second time, again, same words, but a little bit different. Yeah, Asi, you got. I will. Let's see. Where are my participants? Oh my gosh, I can't find it. Asi, you know how to mute your sound?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mrs. Asi will do it.
Mrs. Asi will do it. Okay, so here's the second chorus, still in minor, same words, but a little bit longer. Now it changes. Okay, do we need to sing that or are you good?
Let's sing it.
Let's sing it. Okay, here we go. Going back to, ready? 2, 3. Now it changes. Okay, now, remember, I told you the candle, nadlika na ner lavan, light a white candle. All right, there we go. So the words change from haor to haor, yizrach haor. So ready? First me, haor, yizrach haor. Now you, haor, yizrach haor. So instead of en or, there's no light, there's no ray of light. The light will shine. on, and actually she repeats the verses twice. Okay, so you could already hear that this does not sound like a German song, right? Very much her Yemenite roots. And of course, I had to look, I don't know about you, but I had to check a map of the Middle East so I was sure exactly where Yemen is. And so if you start in the north of Israel and go due south, and when you get to where Eilat is, instead of continuing to the west on the shore of Egypt, continue to the east down Jordan and keep going down down the Gulf, down at the bottom at the south corner of the Arabian Peninsula. That is where Yemen is. So Mitzafon ve'ad Teiman, all of that way is dark. And now when you light the candle, it will be bright. So I'm going to do this full screen, and you have the lyrics right on here, so you don't have to worry about anything else. Here we go.
את כל הכוכבים תאמן, את הסהר טף בשחור, מצפון ועד תימן אין קרן אור. אין אור, אין קרן אור, אין אור, אין קרן אור. והבוקר אלמן נאמן, שק אפור על אוזניו יחגור, מצפון ועד תימן אין קרן אור. והבוקר אלמן נאמן, שק אפור על אוזניו יחגור, מצפון ועד תימן אין קרן אור. אין אור, אין קרן אור, אין אור, אין קרן אור, אין אור, אין אור, אין קרן אור, אין אור, אין אור, אין קרן אור.
And pray.
הדליקה נא נר לבן, באוכל ליבי השחור, מצפון ועד תימן יזרח האור. הדליקה נא נר לבן, באוכל ליבי השחור, מצפון ועד תימן יזרח האור. האור יזרח האור, האור יזרח האור, האור, האור יזרח האור, האור, האור יזרח האור.
All right. So I hope you like that, because I sure do. And here we are back. Yeah. So, and slideshow, play from current slide. So there we are back on Hymn on the Night. And I didn't do that. So find my notes. So as the result of the success of this album, this second album, she is signed by Geffen Records. And meanwhile, the second album, Noah, which was the first album that she had produced in New York, was also released. And this was released by Pat Nahaney, who was very famous. Now, you remember that I read to you that she made this Ave Maria that they were distributing to the soldiers during the Second Gulf War. Well, even, so this Ave Maria resulted in her being invited to perform this version for Pope John Paul II. And so I'm going to play that for you. So we're sharing back and forth and back and forth. Here it is. And this is quite lovely. So we're not going to do the whole thing, but I did want you to see this, and this is with the introduction. And you'll notice that our wonderful Israeli performer is performing in front of Pope John Paul II, a very large audience of luminaries and other people and an orchestra, and she is barefoot.
La celebre Ave Maria di Gounod, che Noah interpreta con un testo in inglese di sua composizione.
Santità, la bellezza di questa famosa melodia ha spinto Gildor e me, da ebrei, a farne una preghiera per la pace, in cui tutti possano riconoscersi, certi che la soluzione dei problemi del mondo potrà venire proprio dall'incontro, dal dialogo tra le diverse religioni e le diverse culture. Shalom.
So we're going to move on because I have a lot of stuff today. Yeah, and you know, you can always go and listen to more. So this was included in the record that was released in 1994, and it did include 3 Hebrew songs, which was the producer Pat's idea. He fell in love with them, but the majority of the songs are in English. And she says, having grown up in the US, English is my first language of expression. It is only in recent years that I have felt comfortable enough with Hebrew to actually write Hebrew song lyrics, but that's a different story. And so I really identify with her in that, in the fact that, you know, when you move when you're very young, you're kind of a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So my family moved to Israel when I was 3. We moved back to the States when I was 5, and we've moved back to Israel when I was 12. So in the same way, I have the multiple languages. So she actually speaks, as you heard, Italian, and she speaks 6 or 7 languages. And unlike next time we will do Yafa Yarkoni, who was recorded singing in many, many languages, most of them she did not know. And she said, you know, as long as they write down the syllables, what's the problem? She could sing in any language. It's the music that communicates, not the words. So Noa does know all of these languages, and she's all about the words. And so in 1995, she's invited to sing at the rally honoring Rabin, honoring the signing of the Oslo Accords. And she was there when he was assassinated. And she writes in May 1996, I was taking the woes of the world onto my shoulders as if my own were not enough, and channeling a lot of emotion into songwriting. I say a lot and not all because there was still plenty left for social political activity of all sorts, which I became very involved with. The pinnacle of this activity was the famous rally, November 4th, 1995, when 500,000 people gathered in Tel Aviv to support Yitzhak Rabin's peace initiative. Gil, Zohar, our wonderful drummer, and I were performing at that rally and feeling high on waves of optimism and joy until 2 terrible gunshots changed us forever. Yitzhak Rabin was shot dead before the eyes of an entire stunned nation, and nothing would ever be the same. I was heartbroken and miserable, but rather than sink into somber silence, I chose to speak out and risk my career by making my views about peace very clear. I spoke impulsively and passionately and did myself plenty of damage, but learned a lot about human nature. That painful time has left me with many scars, but I've become stronger and wiser as a result. Now, after those dark years have passed, I feel my reward is the hope and light we feel in Israel once again with the revival of the peace process. And this is in 96, of course, long before everything fell apart. So in 1997, she releases her 3rd album called Achinoam Nini. And this was only released in Israel, but friends abroad pirated it. And this album was her first attempt at lyric writing in Hebrew. All original, without leaning on the strong pillars of fine poetry. All the songs were written, arranged, and produced in Israel by Gil and herself, with the exception of Aval Ha'ava, but Love, which is a poem by Meir Wiesel-Tzir, to which they wrote music. And so I want to play you one of the songs called Boker, or Morning. And I want you to listen to it and afterwards tell me what influences you hear. I was going to tell you ahead of time, but I think I'll just let you figure it out and then we'll discuss it afterwards. So now we are here. Here we go.
ראשון בבוקר ואתה אומר לי כמה טוב להתעורר כאן לצידך שמש מלטפת בין התריסים ובלי סיבה מיוחדת בא לי לחייך קומי קומי נמי כך אתה אומר לי נומי נומי עוד עינייך עצומות והרדיו מקשקש בשפת הקודש על העומס שבין ראשון לגנות שגדל מתנגן בבוקר אז the day begins שיר מואר עוד דקה חדשות נקווה שזה יהיה Good morning, good morning תשמעי החלט
Okay, so since most of you don't understand the Hebrew lyrics, we're going to stop here, but it's really hard to stop that song in the middle. So, what are some influences that you noticed?
Very Sephardi.
Very Sephardi, right? You have that Asi, do you know what that instrument was, that wind instrument?
No idea.
I thought it sounded a little bit like a shawm, you know. It was some sort of Mizrahi double reed instrument, right? And the drumming. And of course, I didn't mention she started drumming very early. But where is good morning from? There's a Beatles song, right?
What's the Beatles song?
Right?
It was also
There's-
from India.
Say again,
The rhythm
Sherry?
from it was from India.
Yeah. So there's the Beatles have a song, Good Morning, you know, and 5 o'clock in the dawn as the day begins, right, Shed? So this is her
Must be stolen.
her multiple background, right? A little bit of Beatles, a little bit of pop. Some of that drums wasn't quite Sephardi, but some of the rhythms and boy, that wind instrument. Judy, do you know what that is? What that?
Sorry, I don't know the name. I agree. It's definitely double reed.
It's a double reed, and
but I don't know what it is by name. No.
Yeah. I mean, it almost sounds like the medieval shawm.
Yeah.
So anyway, just some interesting things. So that was from her record Blue that she was very excited about, and included on that record is one of her most famous songs, and you'll hear this and you'll recognize the song, and you've probably heard it in English.
Yeah.
But we're going to look at it in Hebrew, and I heard it first in Hebrew, and for me, I love her Hebrew singing much more than her English singing. There's just something, a different quality to her voice. So she took part in several movie projects, including writing something for a movie about Joan of Arc, which I did not find on YouTube and wasn't too interested in, to be honest. And so I think, has everybody seen the movie Life is Beautiful? La Dolce Vita?
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful, beautiful movie, of course, about a father and son who are in a camp during the Holocaust. And the father pretends for his son that this is all a game. Mommy is away on a trip, and this is a game, and they have to play hide and seek from the guards, and they have to hide their food, and this is all a game that he plays. It won Oscar for Best Foreign Picture. So the movie La Vita è Bella by Robert Benigni is one of the most beautiful movies. This is Achinoam writing in March 2000. One of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. It made me laugh and cry uncontrollably, and its haunting beauty stayed with me months after I'd seen it. I think Benigni's great achievement in this film is in showing that happiness, optimism, and hope are strong survival forces that even the horrors of the Holocaust could not eradicate. Israel is living proof of that concept, and that's why the movie affected us so deeply. Needless to say, when we were approached to write lyrics for one of Nicola Piovani's beautiful melodies from the award-winning soundtrack, we were overjoyed and put our hearts lovingly into the task. The result is this song. When Benigni himself called to say he was crazy about it, we nearly had a heart attack. It is a true honor for all of us to have a small part in this great masterpiece. So they wrote not only English words, they wrote Hebrew words for it. So they are similar, but not exactly the same. And so these are the English words. Anybody want to volunteer to read? Nobody? Okay.
I'll do it.
Okay, Jude. And
Okay.
it's top to bottom and top to bottom.
Okay. Smile without a reason why. Love as if you were a child. Smile no matter what they tell you. Don't listen to a word they say, 'cause life is beautiful that way. Tears, a tidal wave of tears, light that slowly disappears. Wait Before you close the curtain, there's still another game to play, and life is beautiful that way. Here in his eyes, forevermore, I will always be as close as you, remember from before. Now that you're out there on your own, remember what is real and what we dream is love alone. Keep the laughter in your eyes. Soon your long-awaited prize
I think it's
and it
real.
will. Soon your long-awaited prize will forget about our sorrow and think about a brighter day.
I don't accept this typo as mine. I just copied it from her page and proof it. So those are the words that she sings in English. And when we switch to the YouTube, I do recommend that you escape the exit full screen so that you can have the Hebrew text with the translation and the transliteration. Okay, so notice that line, because life is beautiful that way, and life is beautiful that way. And so in Hebrew, mazkir shehamischak nimshach v'hachayim yafim kol kach. So a little bit of tongue twister Hebrew, but it repeats at the end of the verses. And this one is almost exactly the same thing, except instead of mazkir, it reminds us, nizkor, we remember. And the chorus is basically la, 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 la. So I thought you needed to do a little bit of text on this. So one word at a time. I'll say it, you repeat it. Mazkir,
Mazkir,
shehamischak,
shehamischak,
shehamischak.
Shehamischak.
There we go. Nimshach,
Shach.
v'hachayim,
Chayim.
yafim,
Yafim. Kol kach.
kol kach.
Do you want us all to mute again? Leah?
Yeah.
Do you want us all to mute?
Hang on.
again?
So, mazkir shehamischak. Ready? Mazkir mazkir shehamischak nimshach v'hachayim yafim kol kach. That's the rhythm. One more time. Listen once. Mazkir shehamischak nimshach v'hachayim yafim kol kach. 2, 3, 4, 1. Mazkir shehamischak nimshach v'hachayim yafim kol kach. And then it goes la 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 la. Okay? And the second one, exactly the same thing, except instead of mazkir, it reminds us, nizkor. Nizkor shehamischak nimshach v'hachayim yafim kol kach. 2, 3, 4, 1. Nizkor shehamischak nimshach v'hachayim yafim kol kach. Okay, mute yourselves. All right. Mazkir shehamischak nimshach v'hachayim yafim kol kach. One more time. 1, 2. Mazkir shehamischak. Gotta mute. Mute yourselves. Everybody mute. I can't access part. Oh, here they are. Mute all. Continue. All right. Everybody is now muted. There we go. I found it. Woohoo. Mazkir, ready? Listen once. Once more. Mazkir shehamischak nimshach v'hachayim yafim kol kach. 2, 3, 4, 1. Mazkir shehamischak nimshach v'hachayim yafim kol kach. One more time now with the nizkor. I'm pointing and you can't see what I'm pointing at. From nizkor. נזכור שהמשחק נמשך והחיים יפים כל כך. All right, I'm going to switch to the YouTube, and this is your opportunity to escape the full screen so that you can also see the words. And here we go. So we're going to sing the chorus once with her, with the words, followed by the la la la. And it's high. Feel free to sing an octave lower. I'm going to move it a little bit earlier.
צחוק מאיר את השמיים, מזכיר שהמשחק נמשך והחיים יפים כל כך.
All right, one more time, gotta get ready. And she's a little bit faster than I was doing. All right, everybody have the song sheet in front of them? So it is, you can see that there's 2 paragraphs. So it's going to be at the bottom of the second paragraph. Yeah, find the where it says Maskil. Everybody find it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines from the top of the song. Ready? Yep, a little bit more.
מזכיר שהמשחק נמשך והחיים יפים כל כך.
All right, we'll come back to that. Going to Nizko, and she actually does the last verse twice, so you'll have a couple of opportunities to get it. So this is now 1, 2, 3, where you have, if you count up from the bottom, see the second la 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 that says 214, 3 lines above that.
עוד רגע ובינתיים נזכור שהמשחק נמשך והחיים יפים כל כך. רק עוד רגע ובינתיים נזכור שהמשחק נמשך והחיים יפים כל כך.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to the beginning of the song. Do you hear me singing when the YouTube is playing? Okay,
No.
I was hoping that, but I can't tell. All right, going to the beginning. I'm not going to do the full screen because it's just less distracting. Here we go. Ready? From the top.
סתם חיוך ללא סיבה, תום ימים של אהבה, שיר ישן לאור ירח וריח משקר שלך, וכך אותך אני זוכר. גל שוטף את העולם, חום הולך ונעלם, צחוק מאיר את השמיים, מזכיר שהמשחק נמשך והחיים יפים כל כך. הקסם שבלב, בוא נשכח את הכאב, רק עוד רגע ובינתיים נזכור שהמשחק נמשך והחיים יפים כל כך. נמשך והחיים יפים כל כך. נזכור שהמשחק נמשך והחיים יפים כל כך.
So I love that song. I love that song. I first heard it in Hebrew, and the English to me just doesn't hold a candle. I just think it's just so beautiful. So let me go back to here. Okay, and whoop, there we go. So in 2001, she has her first child and releases the album Now. And this is very impacted by having a child. In one of her interviews, she talks about touring the world with pregnant, and then pregnant with a child, and then pregnant with 2 children. Her husband, who she married, Asher, who she met when she was 15, is a doctor, and so they travel around the world. And after, and publicizing Now, in which she has her first collaborations with Palestinian singer Mira Awad, which those of you who followed David Broza, he also does things with Mira, and she's a wonderful singer. And so some observations that she made about life in the process of this documentary, where she says the lyrics should be moving and have content, not just a hook, not just lyrics, but poetry with layers that are revealed through multiple hearings. So this is what motivates her, is the text. She says in A Secret that she writes 90% of her songs in the car. And, as if you remember the years of driving your kids around, her kids are now young teenagers, but she writes in the car. She's aware that her voice is touching, even though it is not all that large. This I found to be particularly pertinent for us. Before a performance, she always washes her hair, but she rarely warms up her voice. Your choral director would prefer that you warm up your voice even if you forget to wash your hair. She says your performances should be honest. She tries not to be nervous, but actually she worries all the time until she goes on stage. And she seeks collaborators that are passionate and good people. She collaborates with many, many people. She plays, her albums are all with different collaborators, different drummers. We saw her live. She was here in in Denver. I think about 4 or 5 years ago, she was at DU. She plays a whole set of different hand drums as she performs. And of course she sings. And when they were here, it was just her and Gildor, and you didn't lack having other instruments on the stage at all. And so, as I mentioned, the 1995 assassination of Rabin very much impacts her. And so she becomes an activist for peace. She gets hate mail. Concerts are canceled by those who feel that she has betrayed Israel. And in particular, the song Hawk and Sparrow, which she releases on the album Now, is written about the peace process and about Israel and the potential that it has. And I'm going to play that for you. And this one is in English. Hi, Lisa, welcome. I didn't see that you joined us. So we are here, here. And so this is Hawk and Sparrow.
Hawk and Sparrow, oh, באוויר, rainbow and arrow, laughter and tears. I should run for my life, but I stay still. I should scream till I'm sore, but I don't. I should lay down my life, and I will. But for this I won't. I feel sorry for those who've lost their compassion. I feel sorry for those who still can but don't. I would lay down my life for my child, but for them I won't.
And so I'm gonna stop that here. I thought we should hear it. It's not my favorite of her songs, I have to say. And like I said, I when she sings in Hebrew, it moves me much more. So in 2009, she is invited to perform at the Eurovision. We remember last time Ofra Chaza, who performed the deep and meaningful Chai Chai Chai. And so Achinoam uses her platform and says that she is willing to be at the Eurovision, but only if she can do so together with Mira Awad. And they collaborate together on a song. And on Achinoam's website, she writes a note to Mira, and this is a note that Mira writes to her. Most friendships don't have to endure the challenges and ordeals. Ours was put through some of the most brutal tests. It was constantly challenged by the painful events of our bleeding region. It was doubted by others, suspected to be artificial and interest-driven. There have been attempts to injure it and break it apart. Many have tried to analyze it, categorize it, force it into simplistic molds. Others tried to take advantage of it, use it for their own goals. But this friendship endured it all and kept surprising everyone, including ourselves, which is really a beautiful testament. So this is going to be our third sing-along, which is There Must Be Another Way. And there must be another way. If you look at the file on the right-hand column, you'll see that it is written in 3 different languages. My guess is that the Arabic verse means the same thing as the English verse, as the Hebrew verse, which basically is very similar to what the rest of the English words wrote. So I realize now that I didn't write a translation for that Hebrew verse, so I will read it to you. Einaich achot, your eyes, my sister. Kol ma shelibi mevakesh omrot, say everything that my heart would wish. Avarnu ad ko derech aruka, derech kokasha yad biyad. Up until now, we have walked a very long and very hard path, hand in hand. And this now comes the section that we're going to sing. V'hadma'ot zolgot zormot lashav, ke'ev lelo shem. Anachnu mechakot rak layom sheyavo acharei. There must be another way. And it means, and when I cry for both of us. My pain has no name. And when I cry to the merciless sky and say, there must be another way. And I was not able to find a transliteration of the Arabic, and even if I did, I wouldn't know how to pronounce it. So let's learn this Hebrew text. Again, a little bit wordy, but I think it helps when we sing it together and then sing those choruses together with the YouTubes before we go through the whole song. It seems like more of you are getting together with the lyrics that way. Okay, so Vehadmaot zolgot. That's a mouthful. Ready? Vehadmaot zolgot zormot lashav. Zormot lashav. Let's put that together. Listen. Vehadmaot zolgot zormot lashav. Ready? Vehadmaot zolgot zormot lashav. Listen, a little bit easier. Ke'ev lelo shem. Ke'ev lelo shem. Anachnu mechakot רק ליום שיבוא אחרי. רק ליום שיבוא אחרי. There must be another way. That I think you know how to say. All right, ready? Let's listen to the whole thing. והדמעות זולגות זורמות לשווא כאב ללא שם. אנחנו מחכות רק ליום שיבוא אחרי. There must be another way. And in English, and when I cry for both of us. So I'm going to switch us now to the YouTube. And the reason I'm not demonstrating it is because I don't know it well enough and I want to make sure that we do it right. So this is going to start at Vehadmaot.
דרך חור קשה יד ביד והדמעות זולגות זורמות לשווא כאב ללא שם אנחנו מחכות רק ליום שיבוא אחרי. There must be another way. There must be another way.
Okay, we're going to do that one more time. It's the long held ones that I get mixed up on. I'm not 100% sure on. Okay, here we go. והדמעות.
חור קשה יד ביד והדמעות זולגות זורמות לשווא כאב ללא שם אנחנו מחכות רק ליום שיבוא אחרי. There must be another way. There must be another way.
And now Nira is going to sing the verse in Arabic. And ready?
There must be another way. There must be another way. There must be another way.
And just so you hear what the English verse sounds like, sorry, the English chorus. Here we go. This is, and when I cry.
And when I cry for both of us. My pain has no name. And when I cry to the merciless sky and say, there must be another way.
And then it goes the Hebrew one again. So lots of opportunities for you to sing this chorus, and be prepared because it starts with, there must be another way, except for those of you who are taking the alto part.
There must be another way. עינייך אחות, כל מה שליבי מבקש אומרות. עברנו إلى المدى للسما لو عنيدة. There must be another way. There must be another way. There must be another way. דרך ארוכה נעבור, דרך כה קשה, יחד אל האור, עינגי בגאול, כולי חוף איזול. And when I cry for both of us. My pain has no name, and when I cry to the merciless sky and say, there must be another way. והדמעות זולגות זורמות לשווא, כאב ללא שם. אנחנו מחכות רק ליום שיבוא אחרי. There must be another way. There must be another way. There must be another way.
All right. So I hope you liked that one, because I did. Actually like it more and more as I listened. Actually, Carol, her bio says she was born in Tel Aviv. Oh, yes, she wrote. So it was 2016 that she was here in Denver. I remembered right. I said 4 years ago. Yoo-hoo.
That song was more rock and roll than any of the other ones.
Yeah, well, I think the Hawk and Sparrow was all rock and rolly, but you know, I mean, she and Mira wrote that together, so it was a little bit of each of them.
Yeah.
And they've collaborated on a bunch of songs, and they continue to collaborate, which is really pretty special. So back to our PowerPoint, and so Achinoam. First of all, she has a section on her website called Noah, and she's called Noah because it's hard for some people to pronounce Achinoam, so she went by Noah, which is in the middle. And so she has a section called NOA, which is not only Achinoam, and she believes very strongly in collaborating and working with musicians. And there are several several interview videos that you can see on her website. And so she talks about in her TED Talk that she feels that the essence is to follow your heart. I can't help but think, being more than a decade older than her, that you know, sometimes people make right choices, but you also need a little bit of luck. And so things have gone pretty smoothly for her in her career, despite the bumps from her peace stance. And so she says, follow your heart, home, essence, art, resonance and responsibility, and two together, time and tomorrow, which is lovely if you get to make all those choices. So her latest project, which I'm going to play you a bit from because I can't believe she moves her mouth that fast. I tried. And so through her travels, through her performances, she's met a bunch of different people, among them Quincy Jones. And there were several people who recommended, oh, you know, you should do Bach, you know, you should sing Bach. And initially people said, oh, well, why didn't you do the bada bada bada, you know, the doodle doodle doodle. And she didn't want to do that. There's so many people who do that. And as she says, there's so many people who do it better than she could ever do it. And it's not really her style. And so her latest project is Letters to Bach. And she says letters both in the sense of, you know, letters of the alphabet, making words, and also letters as in missives to Bach. And so you are all going to recognize the melody that that is this next piece. But before I go there, I don't want to forget, if you don't mind, we're keeping track of attendance. It helps us for our numbers for grant writing. So if everybody could at some point write in the chat, if you're in Denver, what county you're in, and if you're outside of Denver, I don't think we have anybody outside of Colorado. I don't think we have anybody who's outside of Colorado. So you could just pop that in the chat so we have a record. And so I am going to go now to our last song of the evening. Yeah, I think. Here we go. All right, and this is something completely different, but I had to show you this. Here we go. Well, that's odd. Let me exit this.
Don't you ever say you're gonna go ahead and leave me. No, baby, no, baby, don't ever go. When I'm with
Sorry,
you,
hang on.
isolated, all the rest is overrated. Every word you say and every moment of the day, the Scooby-Doo, the Shooby.
All right, let's try this again. Sorry, this is a YouTube with an ad, and it wasn't happy that I got rid of the ads. Okay. Hey, we haven't had any technical difficulties all evening, so, you know. Oh my goodness, there's no sound. Are you hearing anything? All right, I'm gonna just refresh the page again. Oh, well. All right, well, I'm sorry. Discuss amongst yourself, and I'll see if I can find that again. Here we go. No, I don't know what the deal is. Sorry, it's not. I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link because it's absolutely terrific.
What we did hear sounded very much like scat. Like,
Oh, you heard something? I wasn't hearing anything at all.
no, but I mean, the first time you played the sound.
No, baby, no, baby, no, baby, no. Say you're never, 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 never gonna leave me. No, baby, no, baby, no. But I mean, faster than that.
Yeah.
All right. So if there's, has everybody popped something into my my chat for me? This is really bizarre. I do suggest that you go to her website, which is noasmusic.com, noasmusic.com. Those of you who like her CDs, if you go into the listen section, if you click each album cover, it takes you to the places where I got the writings, her quotes from. And then for almost everything except the letters for Bach, it has the complete song list. You could just play it right there on her website. Lots of writings, lots of video stuff. It really, it's very interesting exploring somebody who controls their own message. It's very, very different from doing somebody who's died and other people are looking back and seeing, you know, what their impact was. So that's it for me, unless you have any other questions.
You.
Two weeks from now, Yafa Yarkoni, remember the peace activist thing and the threats and the cancellation of concerts when we get to Jaffa. Hey, Wendy. Good to
Hi,
see you.
Wendy.
Good to see you. So I hope to see you all in a couple of weeks. And
Something about Alva Sousa. She wrote a children's song. She was famous for it.
Yafa Yarkoni,
Alva Sousa.
she did not write it. She recorded it. She recorded a full record of Naomi Shemer songs for children. And so this album came out, I believe in 1959, if I remember correctly, and it was Agalayim Susa, and it was Bububim, and Kfar Sidarnu Harakevet, and you know, the songs of our child, Kushi Kelev Kat, which she was then prohibited from singing because Kushi is a pejorative for people with dark skin. And so this was about Kushi the dog, a full album of Naomi Shemer children's songs that she recorded at the time. So yeah, among many, many other things. So yeah, so we'll save it for 2 weeks from now, and I haven't decided who I'm going to do after that, but I'm toying with Chava Alberstein and getting y'all to sing some Yiddish.
Uh-oh.
Asi,
Bye,
it was
y'all. Thank you so
great
much,
to
Leah.
meet you. Thank you.
Thank you. It was great.
Oh, thank
Bye.
you. So enjoyable. Thank you.
Bye.